Recently, I've been getting into film photography, and I think one of the funnest parts about it is trying a bunch of different film stocks. So when I was in a local film store here in Seattle, I saw this Candido 800, having never heard of it ever, and I'm a sucker for the branding, so I decided to give it a go. If you're new here, I'm Hannah. I'm a photographer and video creator, and I'm obsessed with all things travel, nature, and photography. Like I was saying, I had never heard of Candido 800, so I hopped on the Googler and I learned a few things before I made the purchase. I learned that it was good in low light and fast-paced environments, which makes sense because it's an 800 speed film. And it also said that it has excellent colors and good contrast with minimal grain. The grain is still visible, but it's pretty minimal. I like all of these characteristics, and also visually judging from the photos that were on their website, I liked the colors I was seeing, so I figured, why not? So I purchased the film and hit the trail here in Washington. So because I've never shot with this film before, I have no experience with it, I decided to shoot all of these images at box speed, so I'm not under or overexposing at all. So everything you see in this video today was shot at box speed. One of the first things I noticed about this film stock was how it prioritized greens. Greens in an image, it's one of my favorite colors to edit. It's one of my favorite colors to photograph, and the way that this film stock prioritized it, especially on a cloudy day, I really liked. Another color I want to highlight are the blues, because the blues in these photos, from what I noticed in my scans, were leaning a bit more turquoise than natural blue. So if that's something that you typically look out for in your film stocks, maybe that's just something to note. And another thing you might be noticing are these red outlines on the mountains in some of the brighter portions of my film images, and that's called halation, and that is something I was not expecting when I picked up this film. There was nothing about it when I was researching it, so when I got my film scans back, I was a bit surprised because truthfully, I don't really gravitate towards that halation look when I'm out in nature. I more so reserve that for the city, or if there's any sort of night photography, things like that. So the film also was as advertised when we're talking contrast. You can see some of these images are really heavy in contrast. That's also because I was shooting in a very contrasty situation. Had maybe I been in a different setting or a different environment, maybe those contrasts wouldn't have been as intense as they were. But if that's the sort of thing you're into, you like those super high contrast images, then this might be a film stock for you. And when we're talking grain, you can see very minimal amounts of grain in these photos. I don't particularly love a ton of grain in my landscape images, so this film stock really worked for that. The images also felt a lot cooler than, say, if I was shooting on a Kodak Gold. This really fit the setting on this cloudy day.
Yeah, I can't in a friggin' full frame camera, babe.
The thing about film photography that makes me incredibly nervous in comparison to digital photography is that you have no idea how the photo's going to turn out. And with this point and shoot, you can only get so close to your subject. So if you get too close, as I've learned, your picture will be out of focus and it'll be all blurry. And so I'm learning with this the depth of field that is like warranted with it. So we'll see. Not entirely sure if this little vision I have is even going to come out, but I hope it does because that's really pretty and I love the pattern of the pine and the wood. So would I use this film again? I would, but I would use it in a different setting. I think this film stock is a lot better suited for street photography at night or going to dinner with friends. I think it would really excel in those dark, lower light situations. And when we're talking halation, like I saw in my photos, I would much rather see that halation on a street light or a neon sign rather than on a mountain or on the landscapes like I did in my photos. And just for reference, when we're talking cost of this film, for 36 exposures on this Candido 800 speed film, it's $18, which is pretty similar to other 800 speed films that are like Candido, like Cinestill 800T, which comes in at about $17, and then Portra 800, which is around that $18 mark too. So if you're in the market for an 800 speed film that has halation, heavy contrast, and really makes those greens come to life, then maybe this film stock is for you. I hope you found this video helpful, and if there are any future film stocks you want me to try, let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.